Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tom over at TFC IV MMA, and we are here with our UFC Orlando Holland versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson breakdown. I'm real excited for this one, guys. Obviously, one of the best fight night cards of the year. I really should be here too. I told myself any UFC event in the Southeast I'd be going to. Unfortunately, with this one, though, I had some scheduling issues. I had already taken some time off for work, so later in the month of December, so wasn't able to get it off, unfortunately. But we're going to be watching from home. We're real excited, guys. It's a really stacked fight night. I'm really excited for the main event, too. I mean, it's good to see Wonderboy finally getting a striker, and I think this is also a good matchup for Holland. This is one of those just really fun fights. We know neither of these guys is going to be in title contention. Obviously, we've seen Wonderboy lose to Muhammad, Burns, guys like that, and then obviously we saw what Chimaev did to Kevin Holland. So these are two guys where at this point, they're not going to be in title contention anymore, so we may as well get some really good, fun fights out of them, and that's exactly what we're getting with this one, guys. It should be a great fight. I'm really excited, but with that being said, let's start at the beginning of the card. Start off with the women's matchup. We got Yasmin Uruguay versus Estela Nunes. This is going to be a pretty good fight, guys. I know the odds on this one are a little one-sided. Last time I checked, Yasmin was about a minus 350 or so, which I think is a pretty good line. I mean, she's undefeated, has one win in the UFC. Meanwhile, her opponent is coming off 2 straight losses, so she's coming in about a plus 225 as Nunes. And I think the odds tell the tale of this fight, guys. I think Yasmin probably gets it done. In my personal opinion, that's what I see happening with it. It may be a little competitive, but I think it will probably be pretty one-sided as the odds show. So my official pick's going to be Yasmin getting it done. Move on to the next one. We got Dana White Contender Series standout Francis Marshall versus Marcelo Rojo. This is going to be a pretty good one, guys. Obviously, Marshall looked pretty good on the Contender Series, enough to get a contract. He's fighting here, first fight in the UFC. He is undefeated. Rojo coming off 2 straight losses, although they are against good level competition. Kyler Phillips, Charles Jourdain are his 2 last losses. The odds are a little heavy in Marshall's favor. I shouldn't even say heavy because he's about plus 185 last I checked, with Rojo coming in about a plus 150 or so. And I think that's pretty good. I think Marshall looked real good on the Contender Series. Rojo, he's gone against some high-level competition. So my official pick on this one, I'm going to go Marshall with it, guys. I think he gets it done, probably within the distance, too, if I had to guess. I know that may be a little bit risky because the odds aren't crazy in one way, but I think that's how it goes. I think he gets it done. Next one, we got Natan Levy versus Genardo Valdez. This one's going to be a good one, guys. I'm pretty excited. Both of these guys are, well, not both coming off losses. I mean, Levy's 1-1 in his last 2. And, of course, Valdez coming off a knockout loss to my man, Matt the Steamroller Frivola, back at UFC 270. So this one's going to be pretty good, guys. Levy's the favorite at about a minus 185, with Valdez coming in about a plus 150. I think that's a pretty safe line. I mean, Valdez did get put out pretty early against Frivola, but Frivola's been doing that to people. We saw what happened with Admana Zaitar. So I think we got to cut him a little bit of slack there, but I think Levy's the deserved favorite in this one for a reason, and I think he probably gets it done, in my opinion, so that's my official pick will be Levy on that one. Nice little women's matchup, some ranked. Coming in on next, Tracy Cortez, Amanda Ribas. Real excited for this one. Both of these girls are great fighters. Obviously, Cortez coming off 2 straight wins. Ribas lost to Chukagi in her last time out. But both of these girls, great fighters. Gonna be a good show. Last I checked, Ribas was the slight favorite at about a minus 120-ish, with Cortez coming in about even money. And I think that's fair. I mean, Cortez is younger, still, she's new to the game. She's only had a couple fights in, but she's looked good in those fights. Ribas obviously a little bit more established and such. So it's tough. It's a pick'em fight. At minus 120 odds and even money, that's a pick'em fight. And I'm actually going to go with the lower rank, Tracy Cortez. I think she gets it done. And I'm real excited to see it. Obviously, Brian Ortega and her together. I'm a big Brian Ortega fan, so I see a lot of Cortez's stuff on social media as well. And she's looked good her last couple times out, so I'd say she gets it done. Next time out, we got Darren the Damage Elkins versus Jonathan Pierce. We all love Darren Elkins. He's a veteran. He's been around the block, but I do not think this is a favorable matchup for him, and I think the odds show that. Elkins was coming in about a plus 355, with Pierce coming in about a minus 550. My book had him at a plus 355. I think a lot of other books have him even higher out there too. Obviously, Pierce has been very, very good in his UFC career, getting some great wins over Amir Khani, Rodriguez, and then Elkins coming off a W against Conley, but had took a bad loss to Cub Swanson the time before that. So it's not a good matchup for Elkins, guys. I think Pierce gets it done. I can't pick Darren Elkins. As much as we love him being a veteran, you can't pick him in this matchup, I don't think. The next one's one that actually really interests me. Two guys who have been around the block in the UFC. Got Michael Johnson, Mark DeCasey, USA. Michael Johnson, Mark DeCasey fought on the last couple London cards. So it's going to be a pretty good one. Like I said, both these guys have been around the block, both seasoned in the UFC. I was really kind of surprised with the odds. Last I checked, Johnson was coming in about plus 225, with DeCasey reaching in almost minus 300. DeCasey's looked good his last couple times out. Obviously, Michael Johnson's coming off a loss against Jamie Mullarkey. I thought he won the fight. A lot of people agreed with me. A lot of people agreed with my take on that he won the fight. I think a majority of us thought Michael Johnson won the fight. Mark DeCasey coming off some great wins, though. Been really using his wrestling as of late. But Michael Johnson's also a very good wrestler. And I also think you mix that with the pop that Michael Johnson has in his hands. I think if you're making the dog pick on this card, I think Michael Johnson could be promising for that price tag at a plus 225. I'm going to put some money on it. I know some friends of mine are going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go with the underdog on this one, guys. I'm going to go Michael Johnson. I know he's a hefty underdog. I know DeCasey's looked really damn good his last couple times out, but I'm going Michael Johnson on this one. Then next we have Scott Holtzman, Clay Guida. Another legend, another guy that's been around the block, Clay Guida. And Scott Holtzman coming off 2 losses, but his 2 losses are against Beneil Dariush and Mateusz Gamrot. Crazy when you got to think. Talk about a stiff level of competition this guy's facing. Talk about a steep step down in competition he's getting this time, too. We all love Clay Guida. Clay Guida is nowhere near those guys' level. So it'll be interesting. Last I checked, Holtzman was about a minus 150, with Guida coming in about a plus 125-ish or so. We'll see how it goes. I mean, Guida had a tough time his last time out, getting subbed by Claudio Puelles. But other than that, he looked good his fight before that, so it'll be interesting. I think this is a close fight, and for pure nostalgia's sake, I'm going to go with Clay Guida on this one. Going to go with another underdog. That's my pick there. Next, we get some more ranked women's fights. We got Angela Hill, Emily Ducote. Real excited for this one. Angela Hill always puts up some good fights. I don't think any of us, I think all of us enjoy watching her fight. She's always pretty entertaining. Another really close odds on this one. Hill was about a plus 110, Ducote about a minus 130. Ducote only has 1 fight in the UFC, but it was a win. And obviously Hill is, in her last 2, is 1-1, lost 1. But she's pretty consistent. She's been around for a bit. And I'm going to go Angela Hill in this one. I always like watching her fights, and she always puts on a good show. I hope she gets the win. I love that we're getting a fight night in front of a crowd, guys. And I think it'll be good. Real excited. You know, when that crowd's roaring, it's a totally different atmosphere than when we're at the Apex and you're hearing your corners, all that kind of stuff. And really, at this point, the UFC should not be doing fight nights at the Apex anymore. Maybe 1 a month, if you even need to. But come on, UFC. Bring them back. Come to Atlanta. Come to Nashville. I want to go watch some fights live. Take my money. Let's do it. I'm real excited for it. And then we go to the featured prelim. We got Phil Rowe, Nico Price. This is going to be a pretty good one. I met Phil Rowe. I believe it was him that was in at UFC 273 in Jacksonville. I believe it was him who I met. Honestly, can't remember. It was a long weekend. Met a lot of awesome guys. Rowe coming off 2 straight wins. Obviously, Price coming off a win, but a loss before that. Beat Alex Oliveira, but lost to Michel Pereira. So let's see how it goes. Both of these guys also have some experience in the UFC. Price was about a minus 135 last time I checked, with Rowe coming in about plus 115-ish. I actually like for the underdog pick. I'd probably go Phil Rowe on this one, since he's the underdog. But Nico Price, you can never really count him out too. All around great fighter. So this is tough. I know I said for the underdog I'd go Rowe, but the more I look at it, I also kind of like Nico Price. I'll take Price. And then, but I wouldn't be surprised if this fight goes either way, guys. The odds are close on this one, as they should be, and I think, yeah, it'll be interesting, but I'll go with Nico Price for the official pick. As we get into the main card, we got Eric Anders, Kyle Dawkins. Anders obviously coming off 2 straight losses against Wanyan Park and then Andre Muniz. Andre Muniz, that's not a loss to be ashamed about at all. He's looked very good, especially his last time out. And obviously, the Park fight was very close. I know personally I had Anders winning the fight on my scorecards. It was a couple months ago. I can't remember exactly how it was. But I had Anders winning, I can tell you that much. And then Dawkins, obviously, coming off a loss to Roman Dolidze, who's also fighting on this card. But then before that, had the win against Jamie Pickett. Asked to be called the Darce Knight, all that kind of good stuff. And I think Dawkins gets it done. I mean, he's definitely the better of the brothers. I like Kyle Dawkins. I think he'll get it done, possibly by submission, or it could be a decision. But I think he's the safe pick. He was about a 2-1 favorite last I checked, about a -210, with Anders coming in about a +170, +185, depending on your book. So I think Dawkins is the safe pick, especially with those odds on it. Another one coming up where we have a late replacement. It was initially Derek Brunson, Jack Hermansson. I was really looking forward to that one. I think it was a good, nice little one for Brunson to get back on track. I think Hermansson was a decent enough matchup for him, but Derek Brunson gets injured. In steps Roman Dolidze, coming off a big knockout his last time out over Phil Hawes, and then before that with a win over Kyle Dawkins. He is jumping up big time in competition level to go up against Jack Hermansson. This is 2 in a row where we've seen Jack Hermansson fight down. Last time against Chris Curtis, obviously we remember that one, Chris Curtis getting all mad at him, saying he wasn't engaging, but Jack Hermansson looked great in that fight. But Roman Dolidze has looked really damn good since coming into the UFC. So I think last I checked, Dolidze was about a +135. Hermansson about a -165. Obviously had the win against Curtis, but then before that had the loss against Sean Strickland. And I know he's young. I know this is a big step up in competition, but I think Dolidze gets it done. I mean, the man's got some power in his hands. He's looked really good in his time in the UFC. So I'm actually going to go Dolidze on this one, going with the underdog, going with the up-and-comer compared to the established Jack Hermansson. And this may be one where I have to bite my tongue on it, because I could also see Hermansson going out, putting on another great performance like he did last time. But personally, I'm going to go Dolidze on this one. Next one up, we got the heavy hitters, the big guys, Tai Tuivasa, Sergey Pavlovich. 2 guys with some serious power in their hands. Pavlovich coming off the big knockout over Derek Lewis his last time out. Now, I can't even call it a big knockout, controversial knockout, but he definitely looked better in the fight than Lewis did, and I think even if the fight kept going, he probably would have knocked him out. You can never count out Derek Lewis, because we've seen him get hurt, start swinging, and knock people out. But Pavlovich, he's got rocks in his hands. But the same thing about Tai Tuivasa. And Tai Tuivasa obviously coming off a loss against Cyril Gane. I don't really think we can hold that against him, because we knew that kind of how that fight was going to play out. And I was surprised with how well Tai did, knocking down Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane proved he had a hell of a chin in that fight. But eventually the body kicks and the head kicks of Gane were too much, and he took the win. But before that, Tuivasa had we can call that one a big knockout, the one he had over Derek Lewis. Hit him with that elbow. Derek fell down hard, and Tai Tuivasa, big underdog in that fight against Lewis, and he got it done. So this is going to be a good one. Tuivasa coming in about a +150, Pavlovich about a -175 or so. I'm going to pick Pavlovich, because I think he's the better fighter. Obviously, it's heavyweight. Both these guys have rocks in their hands, so I wouldn't be surprised if Tai knocked him out. And like I said, my pick is Pavlovich, but he does need to be weary. We saw him in the Lewis fight when the knockout happened. He was chasing after him. Tai is at his best when you stun him and you start chasing him, because he can hit you back and he can put you out. We saw it against Greg Hardy. We saw him weather the storm against Lewis, and then knock out Derek Lewis. So I'm going with Pavlovich, and I think the odds are pretty good on this one. but I'm not super confident in it, and I think Pavlovich should be weary of once he hurts Tuivasa, because I think he will hurt him. Don't be too overzealous, because Ty will put you out. Next one, we go down to the flyweights. We got Matheus Nicolau versus Matt Schnell. Matt Schnell, his last time out was one of the best fights you'll see. Oh my goodness, UFC in New York. That was the Brian Ortega Yair Rodriguez card. What a fight to go through the beating he did and then pull that fight out. And then before that, obviously, lost to Brandon Royval, where he had looked good, but Royval got him at the end of the first round, I believe, if I remember correctly on that one. And then Nicolau, obviously, coming off some wins, some great wins. Manel Kopp, Tim Elliott. So Nicolau is the bigger favorite in this one, about a minus 360, with Schnell coming in about a plus 270, plus 300, depending on your book. And I think those odds are right. I mean, Matt Schnell was getting beat bad his last time out, pulled the win out of his hat. But I think Nicolau is definitely, at this point in their career, the better fighter. These guys are ranked 6 and 7. I think Nicolau does get the win, and I think after that, you throw him towards some top 5 competition. We'll be excited to see who it goes. Obviously, we have the 4th fight that will hopefully put an end to the Moreno-Figgy trilogy, or quadrilogy, sorry. Let's go Figgy. Hope he gets it done in his home country. And it'll be interesting to see where you go from there. Obviously, Alejandro Pantoja, more than deserving for a shot. He'll probably fight the winner. And then, obviously, Kai Kara France, he'll be fighting in Perth. Flyweight, it almost got killed a few years ago, but I enjoy it a lot as a division, especially when you got a guy like Muhammad Mokaev coming up, creeping up on it too. I think that guy will be a future champion at some point. I'd love to see him go against a guy like Manel Kape, who Nicolau's beat. But we'll see how it goes. It'll be good. But official pick on that one, we'll go with Nicolau. Then we go into the co-main event. Brian Barberena coming off some good wins over some veterans. Obviously put Robbie Lawler out, and then had a crazy barn burner fight with Matt Brown before that. Is going up against the legend, a true BMF, RDA, who last time out couldn't get it done against Rafael Fiziev. Had his moments, but it was a good fight for Fiziev. He was obviously the better man that night, and then put Dos Anjos out. But before that, we got a real vintage performance from RDA against Hanato, Give Me the Money, Moicano. So which RDA is going to show up? I think will be the one that faced Moicano, because I think Fiziev's one of those top guys in lightweight. Brian Barberena, obviously not one of those top guys in the welterweight division. So I think Dos Anjos, it's tough, because he's at the point in his career where I think he comfortably beats guys like Barberena, guys like Moicano, but he's not going to beat the guys like Fiziev, the top 5 to 7 guys in that division. So that's the tough part. And he even said he knows he's not fighting for another title, so he wants fun fights. He wants to fight some legends, fight some good guys. And I think this is a good fight. Fans are going to like it. Brian Barberena is coming in as a heavy underdog, like plus 400 in some of the books I've seen, with RDA being about a minus 450, as much as a minus 500 I saw in one book, which seems kind of crazy for a guy coming off a knockout, but I think stylistically this is a great matchup for RDA. So I think he gets it done. Now we go to the main event. Boom! Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Kevin Holland. I'm real excited for this one. Like I said in the beginning of the video, we know none of these guys are in title contention. None of these guys are going to be the champ in their division. So I'm glad the UFC is just giving us a real fun fight here. Obviously, Wonderboy is still ranked number 6 or so, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe Holland's ranked. If not, he's right outside the rankings. So it's going to be a good one. The UFC's given Wonderboy the striker matchup he wanted. He publicly turned down Rakhmonov, and I don't blame him. It's not a fight he should be doing at this point in his career. He should be chasing fun fights like this. And they're also giving Kevin Holland a good stylistic matchup after he had to fight who I think is the best fighter at 170 in Khamzat Chimaev. So it's going to be a good one. It's going to be all striking. I don't see Holland taking it down. He does have the black belt. He did get the submission over Tim Means, but this one's going to stay standing. And that's what leads me to... It's a pick'em fight, and in even some books I've seen Wonderboy be plus money at like plus 115, with Holland coming in at minus 140. But in the majority of places, it's a pick'em. And I honestly, if you're giving me pick'em odds, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson against a guy who's only going to strike with him, I'm taking Wonderboy at that point. I love Kevin Holland. He's a fan favorite for a reason. He's Batman out there stopping criminals while he's not fighting. But we've seen if it's just a standing match, there are very few people that can beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and that's what leads me to believe that he gets it done, guys, in the main event. It's obviously, yeah, I don't not too much more to say about it than that. I think Wonderboy gets it done. I could see Holland going out there, finishing him possibly. Holland's a big 170 pounder. He was obviously a little undersized, 85. I think it was a great move to go down to welterweight. But let's see how it goes, guys. It's gonna be a great night of fights. I'm glad we have a fight night in person. We need more of that, like I said earlier in the video. The UFC really needs to stop with these damn Apex cards. Bring the fights back in person. People want to watch them. MMA has grown so much throughout the pandemic. You don't realize how many people before MMA, I had maybe 5 friends I can talk to about it. Now I got 25, 35 friends I can talk to about it because it grew so much during the pandemic. We were one of the only sports that stayed open. So it brought a lot of eyes. And with those eyes, bring it back to in person. We need it. We need it like that. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I'm real excited to announce too, I'm in the works of working on an interview with a former UFC fan favorite. I'm hoping to have it within the next week or two. So keep your eyes out for that. And I look forward to getting another video out for you guys. It's fight week. Have a great rest of your Sunday, guys.